Are you ready?
Oh,
All right.
I'd like to bring to order the RTA Organizational Service and Performance Monitoring Committee.
Is your mic is on, correct? Okay, all right.
Teresa, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Biassiata, Ms. Moss,
Here.
Mayor Weiss,
Here.
and Ms. Welch. We have 3 committee members present.
The good mayor is unable to attend, so I am going to be the designated batter. We only have one thing on our agenda, and it's an RFP procurement, and it's going to be a presentation that Dr. Walker Minor and Ashley Bobber will be presenting. Please, go ahead.
Sure thing. Good morning. Good morning to Chair and all members and our CEO. This morning, we are talking about an RFP for survey services. This is an effort to continue to improve customer experience and to meet our operational needs. To do that, our RTA will administer 2 surveys. The 2 survey types are customer experience, which will be administered quarterly, and community value, which will be administered semi-annually. The difference between the 2. The customer satisfaction surveys evaluate customers. It evaluates customer satisfaction on how our customers feel about our modes: fixed route, rail, bus rapid transit, and the paratransit. The community value surveys evaluates both riders and non-riders, specifically their perceptions on accessibility, reliability, and the value of the GCRTA service.
Thank you. Good morning, Acting Chairperson Moss, members of the committee, and members of the board. My name is Ashley Bober, and I am the contract administrator for this project and have been working alongside Dr. Walker Minor on this journey. This request for proposal was issued on September 26th of 2022. It was accessed on the authority's website by 14 interested parties, and 3 firms proposed. The evaluation panel consisted of members from the Administration and External Affairs Department, Office of Business Development, the Office of Management and Budget, Operations, Procurement, and Service Management. The evaluation criteria used to evaluate the proposals was experience in customer and community survey development, execution, collection, data analysis, and reporting. Experience with field surveying was also important. Compliance and understanding of the authority's scope of work, services, and ability to meet all the terms and availability of resources to complete the survey project. The availability of modern surveying technologies, including tablets, online surveying, computerized surveying software and tools, databases, and open source technology to share raw data and results. And lastly, the overall competitiveness and completeness of the cost proposal. The recommended firm is ETC Institute, located in Kansas City, Kansas. The 14% DBE goal will be achieved through the use of Anique Incorporated and Stat Team Incorporated, both female-owned businesses. ETC Institute has 40 years of experience in the design and administration of market research. They've successfully completed more than 60 customer satisfaction and non-rider survey engagements for transit agencies in the previous 5 years, which equates to over 300,000 surveys conducted. Senior level personnel will lead the day-to-day management of survey tasks. The use of tablet technology and dashboards enables field supervisors to review surveys and monitor data quality in real time to ensure the completeness and usability of each survey. Continuing, in addition to reports and databases, data visualization dashboards will be provided, which will give the authority the ability to interactively review the data. ETC Institute is an industry leader in survey oversight techniques, tools, and the collection methods required to ensure proper sampling. And lastly, ETC Institute maintains a Cleveland presence and has surveyed more than 25,000 people in the Cleveland metropolitan area during the previous 15 years as part of multiple projects conducted for the Ohio Department of Transportation. Other clients include the authority, ETC Institute completed the authority's onboard origin destination passenger survey in 2012 and 2013. And if you recall, Mary Beth Feek and myself presented ETC Institute to the board. It was approved at the December 20th Board of Trustees meeting. ETC Institute will also be completing the onboard origin destination passenger surveys for 2023-2024 for the authority. Other clients include Los Angeles Metro, Dallas Area Rapid Transit, Oklahoma City Transit, Miami-Dade Transit, Nashville Metropolitan Transportation Authority, and Kansas City Area Transportation Authority. Staff requests that the Organizational Services and Performance Monitoring Committee recommend an award to ECT Institute to provide survey services in an amount not to exceed $259,145 for a period of 1 year, and in amounts not to exceed $259,145 for each option year, respectively, for total contract amount not to exceed $777,435. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the committee members or the board? Please, go ahead.
Can you just remind me again, how many surveys are we actually doing? I mean, how many numbers of people, or is that to be determined?
What we did in the last year in 2022, for each survey, the number was 12, the goal was 1,200 people per survey. And with the results from each of the community and customer surveys, it was about 97% accuracy statistically.
And is the community survey the same number as the customer surveys? Is it
Yes.
that same 1,200-ish number? Okay, thank you.
Lauren, do you have any questions? I do have just a couple of, I guess I do have one question is, and maybe this is something you can't answer right now, but I'm interested in how do we reach non-customers? So the customer surveys is pretty clear what we do. We get on the bus or we get on the train. How will they be reaching out to non? And what I would be very interested in, and I don't know if this is possible, is former riders, because we know our ridership has gone down, how do we reach out to those people who used to be riders that are not, to find out why they're not riders?
Included in this proposal and as utilized in the previous contractor, they purchased telephone lists, random telephone lists across the community. And so those are through telephone calls, so telephone surveys. And so they dial my number, for example, 216-288-3192. I could
Are you sure
be
you wanted that out there?
Yeah. So that it's a randomized call. So it could be, I could be a writer or I could not be a writer. And essentially the surveyor asks the person who answers the phone the questions in the surveys.
And the other thing I wanted to say is, Ashley, I'm happy to see that 14 people downloaded it, and we have 3 bids, so it makes me happy.
We double checked on that, triple checked.
So is there, without any more questions, is there a motion to take this to the
To the vice chair, Luce has a question. She has her hands up.
Oh, I
on the
don't
virtual. She's virtual.
Please, go ahead, Luce.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the presentation as well, everyone. My question is, how is the survey different than the survey that we did last time? Are they different questions? Are we measuring different topics here?
For community value, the questions will center on how the community perceives. So the questions will center on perceptions. For customer satisfaction, the questions will center on how customers feel about our service. Because this is a different contractor from last year, 2022, my presumption is that the questions will be different because they are using their own tools. As Ashley indicated, and throughout their history, they've been doing this for about 40 years. They have narrowed their survey to 5 pages so that it moves much more efficiently. In addition, and one of the things, Luz, that you consistently ask about is languages. So this contractor surveys in 9 different languages: Spanish, Chinese, Russian, Armenian, Japanese, Vietnamese, Cambodian, Korean, and Thai. They
Wow,
also,
amazing.
they also use a hybrid model if someone does not want to be approached with a tablet for the survey, in that they utilize a QR code that the customer can have right there as they ride the bus to complete the survey.
So I guess my follow-up question to that is, what is the dovetail? So they were asking one questions last time, and so one of the things we're always looking for that net promoter score and all. How does that all fit together if we're asking different questions?
Good morning, Ms. Moss, members of the board. I'm Blante Caver, the Chief Operating Officer. So as we have a new vendor, there will be some questions that will be the same, but our goal will be to keep as many questions as we can so that we can track along the process. So the Net Promoter Score will still be a key performance indicator for us that we want to continue to track so that we can see that movement and understand how we're addressing our customer experience and our customer needs. And so there'll be some changes, but our goal is to try to keep some of those core items similar so that we can track them over time.
Any other questions? Please, go ahead.
Thank you. And not so much a question, but a comment. Just, I think that we can, to your point, Member Moss, is be able to look at the unsatisfied or dissatisfied riders that maybe have left the service and we want them to come back. If not in this particular procurement, but a separate internal initiative if it's not covered directly in the survey questions that we send out. Because I think that's probably more of a specified database that would have their particular numbers. And so as Natoya gave out her office number, that, we want to make sure that we can contact Ms. Smith or Mr. Black or whoever it is to find out specifically what happened over the pandemic, for example, why they may not ride and why they could come back. And then particularly use that information to roll into some of our new initiatives. So I'd like to challenge the staff to think about ways that we can be able to have more of a targeted follow-up with customers, and that way we don't compromise the randomness of the survey that we have here, but we can also get to what you're asking, because I think that's important. Doc, if you had any additional.
Yeah, if I can, please. The vendor that we've chosen offers us some value added in those types of questions. And so in the research that they've done throughout the country, they do have a mechanism to ask the person that they randomly call throughout the community, do you take RTA? Have you taken it in the past? And so we'll be able to sort on those who have taken it in the past and ask some other questions. In addition to that, by the fact that this company is doing our origin and destination studies, they'll be able to, and they have done so in other communities, been able to try to keep cohorts. So they know who's been a part of their surveys, and then they're able to kind of try to keep them on, give them some incentives to continue to give us data. And so this vendor, given their national presence, has some value added that we'll be looking to exercise as part of this contract, is what makes them very competitive.
Anything further? Is there a motion to take this to the whole board?
So moved. Mayor Weiss.
Second. Welch.
So we will be sending this to the whole board. That concludes our business. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Welch.
Second.
I'd like to call to order the Operational Planning and Infrastructure Committee because Luz is out today. Mayor Wise, would you mind taking her place in the, okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Roll call, Teresa.
Ms. Welch,
Here.
Ms. Moss,
Here.
Mr. Joyce, Ms. Peo, and Mayor Weiss.
Here.
We have 3 committee members present.
Thank you so much. First up, we have a presentation for the Title VI program, the review and discussion of the Title VI program that will be submitted to the Federal Transit Administration. We have presenters Felicia Brooks-Williams, Senior Manager of OEO, ADA, and DEI, and Jeffrey Macko, Planning Team Leader. You now have the floor.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairperson Welch, President Reverend Lucas, our CEO, and members of the board. My name is Felicia Brooks-Williams, and as mentioned, I am the Senior Manager of the Office of Equal Opportunity, ADA, and DEI. And my co-presenter is Jeff Macko. He is the planning team leader from Service Management. I will be presenting the general requirements of our Title VI, and Jeff will be presenting on the transit providers' requirements. With the approval of the Operations Planning and Infrastructure Committee, a resolution will be presented to the Board of Trustees at the January 31st meeting. This will enable GCRTA to comply with the latest federal guidelines implementing Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Our presentation will consist of what is Title VI, what are the provisions of Title VI, what does this mean to GCRTA, who is responsible for Title VI, and what are the requirements for Title VI. Title VI is a provision of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, and national origin in programs and activities receiving federal financial assistance. The Civil Rights Statement reads, "No person in the United States shall, on the grounds of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance." The intent of the Title VI is to remove barriers and conditions that prevent minority, low-income, and persons with limited English proficiency from access to public goods and services. In fact, Title VI promotes fairness and equity in federally assisted programs and activities. As a federal grant recipient, GCRTA is subjected to rules and regulations provided under the FTA Circular 4702.1b, and that is to provide a Title VI program update every 3 years. You all should have received an electronic copy of that program update prior to this presentation. That update consists of our policy, our practice, and analysis that illustrates how GCRTA ensures compliance with Title VI. One of the provisions is for that program update to be approved by our Board of Trustees and then submitted to FTA for concurrence. Failure to adopt the resolution may result to a finding by FTA and impact and delay the approval of our federal grants. What does this mean to RTA? Well, basically, it is aligned with our vision to service all customers regardless of their protected class. That we are to ensure that benefits and services are available and equitably distributed, as well as the level and quality of services are sufficient to provide equal access. That we also ensure that customers have an opportunity to participate in transit planning and decision-making process. And that the decisions on locations of transit services and facilities are consistent with our Title VI requirements. And that finally, that we have a complaint process in place to correct or address any discriminatory matters. Who is responsible? Everyone is responsible. Our Board of Trustees, our General Manager, CEO, who's also our Chief Civil Rights Officer. Our management staff and all employees are responsible to ensure that we are compliant with Title VI. Sorry. Who implements Title VI? There's a Title VI team. That team is a representation of the Office of Equal Opportunity, Marketing and Communications, Program and Planning, and Service Management. Title VI is broken up in two parts. There's a general requirements. There are the general requirements and the transit provider requirements. One of the general requirements is to inform customers of their rights under Title VI. This notice is posted on our GCRT website, riderta.com/OEO, and it's displayed on all our transit vehicles and transit facilities, such as in the main office and our customer service area, as well as our transit stations. It is this notice is also in English and in Spanish. Another requirement is to establish a complaint process. GCRTA has established a complaint process for riders to file a complaint under Title VI. Any person who believes that they have been discriminated against based on any protected class may file a complaint in the Office of Equal Opportunity within 180 days of the alleged incident. The complaint form is available in the main office or on our website. Community Advisory Committee, which is also known as our CAC, is also a general requirement. Our Community Advisory Committee serves as a non-elected committee. The CAC is comprised of representatives selected from the public and private agencies, consumer groups, interested individuals, and users of the transit system. The CAC meets quarterly to discuss relevant issues pertaining to the transit operations, and the committee works to increase citizens' participation in the community. We are also required to have a language assistance plan. The plan is managed under management and, the plan is managed under marketing and communications and also program and planning. The language assistance plan is to help identify reasonable steps for providing language assistance to persons with limited English proficiency. The plan also assists persons who use English as a second language. So we provide language assistance for customers at public meetings and telephone information, and we translate printed materials when necessary. The plan is reviewed and monitored every 3 years, and it's reviewed through a 4-factor analysis. The 4-factor analysis analyzed the number of LEP individuals that GCRTA will encounter, and the frequency and the importance and the resources available to assist our customers. And in conclusion of the general requirements, GCRTA is required to have a process in place to allow public involvement, and that's our public participation plan. We have established a public participation plan to ensure that no one is precluded from participating in service planning and development process. The plan is managed under Marketing and Communications Department, and some of the effective practices that we use or have used are our public meetings and community meetings, our Community Advisory Committee meetings, and our board meetings. Now I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Macko, who's going to talk about our transit requirements.
Thank you, Felicia. Good morning, Chair Welch, President Lucas, members of the board, India. As Felicia mentioned, my name is Jeffrey Macco, Service Planning Team Leader. And I'll just give a very brief overview of what we're required to do under Title VI as a transit provider. Excuse me. Under the FTA-approved and board-adopted services code, RTA is required to perform a Title VI analysis if service proposals would increase or decrease service miles by 10%, as well as analyze all changes to proposals to change fares. We're also required, as Felicia mentioned, to monitor and assess our service every 3 years, which is why we're here today. And this service and monitoring report will be, you have the draft form. It's not finalized yet, but we're working to get it finalized. As Felicia mentioned, the service monitoring and assessment report complies with the FTA Circular 4702.1b. RTA is required to review all its routes and does a comparison based with the, based on the service levels for what we analyze and develop as minority low-income routes, which we classify as min-low, as well as the other routes that are classified as non-minority low-income routes, which you'll see in the report is non-min-low routes. The next few slides, I'll just give you a couple examples of the things that we study and analyze to make sure that we're complying with Title VI. So one example is we look at the vehicle assignment and the average age of each vehicle that's assigned to the given route. So we select 8 randomly selected dates for our reporting period, which this report is the second half of 2021. And we look at the average age of the vehicle. So on the next slide, you'll see that on average, our min-low routes have a newer vehicle assignment than our non-min-low routes. Here's a table that's actually included in the report. So you'll see we have 2 route categories, the min-low and non-min-low, and our average vehicle age that's assigned to min-low routes is 6.7 years, and the non-min-low routes is just under 11.2. Second example of something that we look at is the average vehicle headway. So the vehicle headway is the interval between departures in a given direction. And you'll see on the following table that the average headway for the min-low routes is better, so less minutes between departures. So on min-low routes, just over 30 minutes during the peak and the midday, so peak is being AM and PM rush hours, and these are calculated based off of a weekday. And for non-min-low routes, you'll see that the average headway for peak is just under 40 minutes, and during the midday, 45 minutes. So the Title VI program will be forwarded to the board for approval at the January 31st, 2023 board meeting. Chair Welch, Felicia, and I are available for questions.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from the board?
One question
Yes.
on the CAC. How do you solicit individuals for those positions, and is there a term for those individuals that are selected to be on the CAC?
Okay, okay. I'm going to defer this to Dr. Caver.
Good morning, Chair Welsh, members of the board, Mayor Kumar. So in the past, the CAC had been a process where there was a general application process. It came to the chief executive, and the chief executive, along with a member that was appointed by the board, would make recommendations to the board for CAC members. That process is being updated and will be actually transitioning the administrative employee who will be working with that group here in the next month or so, and looking for an appointment by the board of a liaison. And in that process, we'll be modernizing how we do so, but largely an application process through the web that will be reviewed and make recommendations to the board to place those individuals.
if I can add to Dr. Caver's comments, and then I'm going to actually pass it just for a quick moment to Reverend Lucas. We actually had a bit of an update to support what Doc is mentioning with Natoya in the back there, as well as our new liaison. So Reverend Lucas, if you'd like to just introduce AJ.
Yes, I have been informed that Valerie McCall has agreed to head that whole team, and that we now have a new team that I've been a part of developing, and they're here today, and one of them is at the mic right now. A. Johnson, do you want to have a word?
Absolutely. Members of the board, Chair Reverend Lucas, India Birdstone, Terry, thank you all for appointing me as a staff liaison. I look forward to working with the citizens of the community and actually revamping this whole ordeal and giving the more community a voice in implementation of future projects. Thank you all.
All right, thank you. Anything else from Dr. Walker?
We just look forward to working with Dr. McCall to reorganize this. We're excited about the work. There's been a very good, very impressive transition between Jose Feliciano Jr. and AJ. Certainly want to acknowledge Jose for 9 years of facilitating and being the staff liaison, and certainly the handoff has been good, and so we're excited about that, and we're excited about the work and the energy that AJ will bring to this.
Since I have the floor at this moment, I would be remiss, since my age is no secret, to say that in 1964, along with my late wife, Dr. Vicki Fortune Lucas, we testified in favor of the legislation. Often when I speak to groups, they think that public accommodation laws were passed in the 40s and so forth, but it wasn't until the 60s that hotel accommodations could be arranged for everyone, that it was no longer the colored car in Cincinnati that you would ride on when you were going south, and certainly the colleges and the universities that had not been open to before. So it's a joy for me to see the fruition after these years of that Title VI and the original legislation in 1964.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate the transition as Dr. Walker Minor, I love saying that, Dr. Walker Minor mentioned. I just want to make sure that the board is aware we will be coming to you with a plan for the transition, and we want to formalize that. Valerie McCall is not with us today. However, she will be at the next meeting, and that's where we would formally introduce some of the plans going forward, and of course, come to the board for approval and review of the new process for the CAC under the liaison of AJ. So we really look forward to it, and we will come back to the board with more detail on how the CAC will continue on.
Vice Chair Moss.
Oh, yes. I just wanted to comment, I noticed when we first looked at when you were explaining what Title VI was, I made a note in my head, it was based on, and more than my head because I wrote it down, it was the race, color, or national origin. And then when I looked at the program that was being sent, I was happy to see that our plan exceeds those requirements and also included women and Vietnam veteran era
Yes.
veterans.
Yes. That is true.
Yeah, definitely just want to support that comment, Member Moss. We appreciate the interest, to be quite honest, of this board in Title VI and Title VII. And I think we've talked over the past 3 years that I can account for, and I'm sure more, of just being able to be more robust and not just do the minimum and just not do the basic standard. There are a lot of guidelines that are required by transit authorities across the country to make sure that we kind of check the box, but we want to make sure that this is really intentional and it's part of our mission and part of our vision. So we will always try our best to take one step beyond what's required of us, and I appreciate the acknowledgement of that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this work. Thank you for the presentation. Do we have a motion to move to the full board?
Motion to adopt to the full board.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll move that to the full board. Next up, we have another presentation on the IFB procurement. competitive procurement to provide a new signal system on the light rail trunk line running from East 79th Station to Shaker Square with presenters Kathleen McGurvey, resident engineer architect, and Jonathan Lowell, program contact manager.
Good morning, Chair Welch.
Good morning. You can have the floor.
Committee members, members of the board. Is my voice coming through on the mic? I can't tell. Okay. So this project, I'm Kathleen McGurvey, and I'm here with Jonathan Lawley from procurement, and we're here to present the trunk line signal system project. And this project is part of an overarching program, part of the capital program that's focusing on rejuvenating the rail system. And elements of that program include, of course, the rail car purchase, the reconstruction of track, catenary replacement, and then, of course, the signal system replacement. And this project is the first project from the signal system replacement part of this program. The project is located between East 79th Street and Shaker Square, and it's right where the blue and the green lines are together after they're separated from the red line and on the light rail system. So the existing system was built in the 1920s, and this project will completely replace this system. And as you can see, it's older equipment. It's very difficult to obtain, or impossible to obtain replacements for this equipment, and difficult to refurbish it. So our signal technicians on the property have been really making a valiant effort continuing to keep it running. So the service impacts, 2023 will be a 6-week shutdown, which is concurrent with the East 75th Street interlocking project, which is already under contract. The engineer's estimate is $4,440,000, and the branch lines will be done in some future projects. So this new project will replicate the existing single direction running, 3-aspect signaling, and the 3 aspects are red, yellow, green, and you can kind of see what those look like here. The new system will be compliant with modern requirements, and it will use audio frequency track circuits for train detection. And we will have a total of 7 new signal houses, which are 6x6 buildings that are needed for this project. And here's kind of an example of what one of those buildings looks like. We don't have any on the light rail system right now, but this is a picture of one that's on the red line. And this one's a little bigger, but it gives you an idea of what it looks like.
The invitation for a bid for this project was issued on October the 24th of 2022. 13 parties reviewed the package. 2 submitted a bid. The lowest responsive and responsible bidder for this project was Clark Transportation Consulting and Services, LLC, doing business as Bison Rail Systems from Flemington, New Jersey. A 17% DBE participation goal was assigned to this project, and it will be met because Clark Transportation Consulting and Services is also a DBE firm. The experience of this firm, they've completed work for Amtrak, Washington Metro, New York Metro, as well as other organizations. Some of the work that they have done includes, but is not limited to, signal construction, testing, positive train control, as well as integration. For this project, the staff recommends the committee award the contract to Clark Transportation Consulting and Services, doing business as Bison Rail Systems, for this project in a contract amount not to exceed $4,464,789.20. Any questions?
Do we have any questions from the board?
Just one
Right,
small,
yes, Vice Chair
small
Moss.
comment once again. Jonathan, I'm happy to see that we had, was it 13 people downloaded, and we have 2 responsive bidders. And when I see 2 bids that are relatively close, less than 10% apart, it makes me happy because I feel like we're doing our job and doing our due diligence. So thanks, good to see.
Yes, General Manager Birdsong.
I believe.
You've also, I'd make one quick comment,
Yeah,
and then we've got one, I think, from the floor for consideration. Just to be able to pass this along to our Deputy of Engineering, Mike Shipper, and then perhaps Flante Caver, he's the recipient of a lot of this work through operations. We discussed internally and wanted to make it clear to the board that these are also projects that are part of our long-term plan for capital, and just wanted to kind of reiterate some of the congruency with a lot of the awards that we've been given that have been also thankfully positively notarized in the media lately, and then also our long-term relationship with our legislature, particularly with the state, and then also with the federal government. So I'm not sure, Mike, if you had a couple of comments just to be able to tie a bow on it to make sure that folks understand that these aren't one-off projects. These are planned projects as part of a long-term capital planning.
Sure. As Kathleen mentioned, the rejuvenation of the rail system is a significant priority in the capital plan, and we have significant money allocated to it, and are pursuing a number of grants in that area. So, we have programmatic type things in the capital program, like the light rail reconstruction is a program of 8 projects. The signal system program is going to be a series of programs and projects over a number of years, as with the overhead and, of course, the rail cars. So we were replacing 1920s era technology and parts and pieces on the trunk line, and certainly this is going to be a huge benefit to us for our safe operation of the rail system. And certainly when we get the new rail cars, that interaction between the new cars and the new system will be much enhanced. So that's why we're doing this project, and we will see some more of these year by year.
Dr. Caver.
Thank you, Ms. Wells, Ms. Terry, members of the board. Yeah, as Mike said, these are tremendous projects that take a lot of thought, a lot of planning. Our capital budget process, as you've seen, and we've recently adopted this past December, has these programs. Our teams work hand in hand, and so as Kathleen described, we have technicians out there keeping 1920 era machinery and systems together, but they're very excited for the reinvestment that we're making in the rail infrastructure that will allow them to have a lot easier jobs, use a lot more modern technology to keep the system up, but also to deliver their mission, which is to deliver a safe rail transportation system. And so we're very excited about this program and the reinvestment in the trunk line and the future reinvestment in the 2 branch lines in Shaker. Thank you.
From the floor.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Zimbrescia. I'm with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 38 here in Cleveland. So my question is based on the certifications that the low bidder holds with the state of Ohio. To my knowledge, or to my information, Clark Transportation, doing business as Bison Retail, holds NAICS title certifications for industrial design services and scientific and technical consulting services. So my question is, for them to perform 20% of the labor, as I understand is part of the requirements for RTA, has Bison or Clark Transportation submitted a subcontractor list for this project, and will they be able to perform 20% of the labor on this project?
Mike, or want to take that question, or Carl, or Dr. Caver, or one of our presenters?
So it's, from speaking with them, I have the impression that they are planning to do it. I've made phone calls to their references on projects, other projects that they've done in the past. I've asked specifically, do they have the capacity to do, this amount of work, almost $5 million worth of work? And without exception, all of the references indicated that they believe that they could. They said that owners on the projects that they've worked on have been pleased with their work. So they've done work on Amtrak and other properties. And I felt confident. You know, of course, anytime you have a new vendor, you do wonder how it's going to work out. But, you know, and I know some other people in the industry who feel confident in them. So I felt like it was a good bet.
Let me ask if I can also, and let me also take a moment to just mention that we are in committee. I would suggest, if through the committee chair, of course, that we take additional conversational questions and take it offline with our procurement team as well as our engineering folks to make sure that we can give you the detailed information. And then if we need to come back to the board prior to the next meeting where it would go to vote, we'll definitely do that. Because I want to make sure that we respect the appropriateness of the floor that we have today, but also respect your time for additional questions. And at this moment, if we have any additional comment by Melinda for procurement or Mike for engineering, and then to the gentleman here, our guest, if I can actually ask you to follow up with those two gentlemen, take those questions, and we can report back to the board before the actual vote, assuming it goes to the vote. We will go ahead and do that.
Yes. You know, the self-performance, I don't think we have an issue with that. And certainly they are submitting subcontractor lists to the team. So they have some subcontractors. I don't specifically have that list with me, but I expect there will be some subcontracting.
Yeah, as far as the procurement piece of it, and they're meeting.
Can you speak into the mic, please?
They are a new vendor for us. The procurement portion of it, Jonathan and Jen Martin, who was out on medical, Jonathan stepping in, thank you very much. They performed all the diligence, their financials, all are meeting the requirements, low risk. We have done all of our due diligence from procurement to bring this procurement for you, as Carl has, as far as being a 100% certified DBE firm. They'll meet the prevailing wage requirements, et cetera. So, and we certainly can address any other concerns offline. But
I guess
Vice Chair Moss.
I just have a question as to why this is. So the union representative from the electrical union is raising a concern, and that certainly is, I don't have his expertise. There's a reason why you're raising this, and what would make you think that they were, I mean, I don't know if you're saying that you don't think they have the ability to do that, or?
Well, I'm asking that under the fact that, you know, there are certifications for, obviously this is extensive electrical work on the rail signaling system. And there are, in the state of Ohio, certifications for electrical wiring and electrical construction, which I know the other second bidder, who is less than 10% off of the mark for this price, that Bison Clark Transportation has submitted, has done extensive work for RTA, is very familiar with RTA, and holds those, you know, are an electrical contractor. My question is that their certifications have nothing to do with construction under the DBE, you know, Ohio certifications. It has to do with design, and it has to do with technical consulting. That's why, you know, I bring up the question, under the provisions that they have to self-perform 20% of the work, will they be able to do that? And could I request, if there will be a subcontractors list, could I, you know, request as public information that subcontractors list?
Do you want to weigh in on what he just said? Does that make sense?
Yeah, we can provide the information requested. It's fine.
Thank you.
Is there a Mayor Wise?
Not for today, but when it comes to the board, because of the importance of this particular project, Mr. Shipper, it might be helpful to see graphically where we've replaced the signal line to date, and then where we still have to go, just so we kind of get a sense of where we are in the process of, I assume we overhaul the whole system eventually.
Well, we may not be overhauling the whole system, but we will be making systematic improvements. So, yeah, we can lay out the projects that are in the program.
Or even visually, I guess, is, just to see what we've done so far and where we have to go.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to move this to the full board with the understanding that we're going to get more information between now and the next meeting? Okay, so,
Motion to move to the full board.
okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will be moving that to the full board. The IFB procurement, to provide a new signal system to the light rail trunk line running from East 79th Station to Shaker Square. Thank you so much. And now we're going to move over to the competitive procurement to construct bungalow foundations for the light rail trunk line resignaling project.
Okay, well, this project is going to be in conjunction with the project we just discussed, and it will be providing the bungalow foundations as well as excavation and other work that signal contractors don't like to do. So again, the project is located between East 79th Street and Shaker Square, and it will, again, support the previously discussed trunk line signal project, and we'll be providing concrete foundations and excavation. This project will be done during the East 79th Street interlocking project, and they do have a time limit of 3 weeks to complete it in the field, and the engineer's estimate was $360,000.
This invitation for bid was also issued on October the 24th of 2022. 12 potential vendors reviewed the package, and 3 submitted a bid for this project. The lowest responsive and responsible vendor here was Northeast Ohio Trenching Service Incorporated from Cleveland, Ohio. There was a 23% DBE participation goal assigned to this project by the Office of Business Development. Northeast Ohio Trenching Service will achieve 10.18% DBE participation, has completed the good faith efforts process as required under CFR Part 49, Part 26. Northeast Ohio Trenching Services Incorporated has successfully completed projects here at the RTA. They've completed them for the Geauga County Engineers, the City of Elyria Engineers, and other entities. Northeast Ohio Trenching Services Incorporated is currently working on the airport tunnel sump pump station repairs for the Greater Cleveland RTA. For this project, the staff recommends this committee award the contract to Northeast Ohio Trenching Services Incorporated in a contract amount not to exceed $347,000. Any questions?
Questions from the board? Yes, Mayor Wise?
Just for those of us who aren't familiar with some of these things in terminology, bungalow foundations, is this just the concrete base on which this?
Right. So it's just the underlying support for the bungalow.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Do we have a motion to move to the full board?
Motion to move to the full board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This will be moved to the full board. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn the operational planning and infrastructure committee?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Call the RTA Committee of the Whole in order. Will the Secretary please read the roll?
All right, President Lucas.
Present.
Ms. Moss.
Here.
Mayor Biassiata, Mr. Joyce, Mayor Kumar.
Here.
Ms. McCall, Ms. Peo, Mayor Weiss.
Here.
And Ms. Welch.
Present.
We have 5 committee members present. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. We are going to deal with the code book update, I can't imagine who's going to make the presentation. Dawn here?
Yes. Yes, I'm here, Reverend.
Oh. What would happen in the law department if someone would take the code book away?
I'd be concerned about the authority's ability to follow its procedures and policies.
You do an excellent job with it. All right, go ahead.
Good morning, Reverend Lucas, members of the board. I'm Dawn Tarka. I am an attorney in the authority's legal department, and I'm here to give a very brief presentation regarding the human resources part of the code book. By way of background, the book was codified in 1989. We're reviewing the policies and bringing them up to date with our current operations, and they're subject to review and revision every 3 years. Today, we're addressing just 2 provisions, and we're going to recommend removing them from the code book because they duplicate the personnel policies. The first provision is related to prior service credit. Prior service credit, and that's section 644.09. Also tuition reimbursement, which is section 644.13. Those 2 provisions are duplicates of personnel policies 400.09 and 400.13. At this time, the personnel policy for prior service credit also requires a couple updates, just to update the general manager's title and correct the name of the Human Resources Division. And you can see the exact edits we're proposing in the red lines that we provided in the board packet. Staff requests that the Committee of the Whole recommend these provisions to the Board of Trustees for approval. Are there any questions?
One comment, if I may, and really it's a hybrid, I guess, Dawn and Janet, just to be able to give the board an idea. We come in front of them every month with these code book via your expertise, Dawn. How many more additional do you foresee, ballpark, within 2023? I know that we kind of map out every month. And then another question is, how often are these updated, or should they be updated for the authority?
Okay. Right now, our proposed schedule has us wrapping up the provisions that we still need to finish by approximately September or October. And it provides for us to present monthly, but we're taking a break in March and in one of the summer months, July or August, I think. And then thereafter, it would be a matter of reviewing the book every 3 years.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, any other questions? Vice President?
Yes, just as a curiosity, I'm happy to see that we have tuition reimbursement, but in the personnel policy, it's very vague. So where is it enumerated, and what is our policy for tuition reimbursement?
If I could ask George Fields in the back there to be able to give more insight.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Birdsong-Terry. Board Member Moss, there's a tuition reimbursement policy as well as a procedure. More to the procedure, we could provide the procedure to you, but the procedure outlines the ability for an employee to be reimbursed for associate's level, bachelor's level, as well as master's and advanced degrees over a period of time with the corresponding reimbursement caps to those particular degree settings, particularly for associates at a $4,000 overall cap, and bachelor's at a $15,000 and advanced degree at a $16,000 overall cap. But I can provide you with a copy of that procedure if you'd like.
Where is that located? Because it's not obviously in the policies. I mean, I know I'm confident that we have a written policy on that. So if it's not in the policy manual, where is it housed?
So it's in the policy section of the personnel policy procedures, as well as the procedure part. There's a policy that gives the overview of the procedure. Then there's a detailed procedure in the personnel policy and procedures manual. I can provide you with both.
So it just goes below somewhere. This is 400.13, somewhere below that are the specifics, and that probably needs to be updated more often because the amount we would, over time, would change, I would presume.
Correct. The procedural piece is updated periodically to correspond to market, to make sure that our reimbursement is keeping up with the cost of tuition over a period of time. Matter of fact, we've done it over the last couple years to be able to increase those reimbursement amounts.
And then we vote on that because it's in the policy?
It's,
I'm a little confused.
well, it's a procedure part to it, so it's not something that the board would actually vote on.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Any other questions to our attorney? If not, we have a motion to take this to the board.
So moved.
Second, Welch.
All right, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. There's no other business before committee of the whole. May we have a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much. Teresa, anything else today? All right, we consider ourselves adjourned, and we will see you at the board meeting in 2 weeks.